Hey everybody, Professor Snart here, just checking in as we work on Unit 5. It is Wednesday, September 7th when I'm recording this, so Unit 5 will be due Thursday, September 8th. Hopefully you had a good long weekend, and we kind of continue to roll on in our course, and you get the sense probably now just how fast it turns around, even if you feel like you have a few days to work on things. Obviously everybody's busy with, everything else that's going on in other classes, work, family, all that stuff. So hopefully you're getting into a good rhythm as far as, when to work on things and when you have time to check into Blackboard and all that kind of stuff. So just a couple of comments then on Unit 5, which is a unit that has a couple of different assignments that sort of get at, in addition to the reading that we're doing here, one thing that this unit does is actually pull apart the style of writing that we would normally incorporate into a traditional essay and kind of focus on two very different kinds of writing, so we can sort of isolate them and see how they are different from one another, even though we really normally wouldn't do either kind separately like this as a standalone piece of writing for like an essay assignment. So we're working with a short story called Boys and Girls by Alice Munro, a really interesting look at the process of growing up and how people become gendered as either masculine or feminine, and whether it's kind of a natural process or are there social forces that happen, and are those forces kind of like intentional on the part of some people, or do they just happen kind of subconsciously or unintentionally, and we don't have to sort of make a determination about which of these is right or wrong, or it's this or it's that. The story is really just an exploration of how maybe both of those things are true a little bit. Okay, so we're working with that story then, and the first assignment that's listed here, you are submitting as a file through Blackboard, so it's not a discussion board setup. And in this case, it's strictly a summary of the story. So basically just what happens. So you're really avoiding anything subjective about I liked it, I didn't like it. You're avoiding anything interpretive, like I just talked about, oh, it's a story about gender differences or enculturation, the process of, becoming sort of part of the larger culture that you're born into. You're pulling away from all of that subjective or interpretive stuff and just providing like newspaper reporting. This is what happens, without saying it's good, it's bad, it means this, it means that. None of that stuff. So we're really practicing just a basic kind of close reading of the text in terms of getting the primary details down. Okay, so we also have the opportunity here to then be using our works cited skills as far as building quotations from the primary text, from the short story, into each body paragraph. Of course, you're doing a works cited that'll just have one entry, the story itself. Note that there's information here about what model to follow, and a couple of things then to concentrate on, in addition to just being sort of objective, the reporting, the summary style of writing. You still want to think about organization. So you're not just going to submit one humongous paragraph that goes on and on and on and on and on. You do want to divide into, let's call it 5 paragraphs, some form of intro that's going to be pretty straightforward, Alice Munro's short story, Boys and Girls, was published in, etc., etc. Organize your body paragraphs. You probably have 3 or at least 3 body paragraphs and then a short conclusion. So just because we're getting away from that interpretive style of writing, it doesn't mean we're abandoning everything as far as like organization and that academic or formal tone that we're going for. So the opportunity to practice a few skills, obviously close reading, the MLA citation both in the text and as part of your works cited, and of course basic kind of overall organization. So the other writing assignment that's part of this unit then is more of the discussion board style that we're used to from before. And this discussion board really focuses much more on your response to the story. So if the summary is purely objective, this discussion board is a little more subjective. So it can involve whether you liked or disliked or your kind of interpretation of the story. So you can really see, and this is really how you want to see the whole unit, as these two writing assignments kind of pulling apart and isolating these very different styles of writing. So that's really what you want to produce at the end of it. Two different assignments that really reflect a very different approach to the text that you're talking about. And again, one is submitted as a file, the summary. The other is more of the discussion board, or just discussion board, where you're actually typing into the discussion board. So they function a little bit differently as well. There's a really simple quiz that's just making sure that your library card is working. So basic, should take it just a couple minutes. And again, it's not like a huge point value thing. We're really just making sure that your library card works so that you're ready to use it for some of the research stuff that we'll be doing a little bit later on in the class. Okay, so that's about it. If you have any questions, be in touch with me. And remember, for Unit 5, we're really thinking about summary as one style of writing, and then that discussion board response as a very different style of writing.